Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Matthew 5:3-12. These are ordinary people making a difference in other people's lives. 8 of them are girls not much older than I who have impacted the world through representing the 8 Beatitudes, the 8 famous apparent contradictions Jesus spoke in the Gospels. But in order to understand how each girl impacted the world through mourning or being persecuted, we must fully understand the meaning of these Beatitudes, and how the girls were blessed by them and made a difference through them. The Beatitudes are an important part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, and each one has a special meaning. Some that are fairly obvious, and some that us as humans don't completely understand. How can someone who mourns or be poor in spirit be blessed? Isn't this a contradiction of terms? Well, when you fully understand what Jesus was illustrating, the so-called contradiction of terms makes sense. In the first beatitude, to be poor in spirit is to be free from all earthly desires. For example, the love for money and wealth, self-pride, and wondering what others think of you. It also means that you realize that you need God in your life and you devote your life to Him. Wilma Rudolph, one of the most well-known African-American athletes, is a great example of this. Wilma had polio when she was young and had trouble walking for a majority of her childhood. But this didn't stop Wilma. Honey, you have to believe in God and never give up hope. If you believe, God will make it happen, her parents told her, and that fueled her fire for the rest of her life. She went on to be an Olympic runner and win 3 gold medals at the 1960 Summer Olympics, the first woman from the USA ever to do that. She was blessed because she didn't care what others said when they told her she would never be able to run or win 3 gold medals in a row. She didn't care what others thought about her being a woman and African American. She stuck with it and achieved more than she could have ever hoped. She also used her parents' guidance on believing in God and knowing that you need God in order to succeed. Understanding the second beatitude isn't much different. When a lot of people experience great mourning and suffering, they go to something to free them from their pain. A popular person to go to is the ultimate pain reliever, Jesus. This is what Heather Mercer and Dana Curry, 2 missionaries for the Afghans, did. They lived in Afghanistan for a long time as missionaries, bringing many Muslims to Christ when they were captured by the Taliban before 9/11. They were in prison for about a year, and almost every day was a day of mourning and wondering if they were going to get out alive. Every day, instead of just confiding in their prison mates, they read their Bibles, prayed, and sang worship songs together. They were blessed because they went to Jesus instead of other people in the prison, or totally giving up all hope that Jesus was really with them. The third and fourth Beatitudes are around the same principle. When most people think of a meek, mentioned in the third Beatitude, they think of a weak, cowardly person that hides behind everyone. When God thinks of meek, He thinks of a strong, bold, and courageous person under His control, who is open-minded, faithful, and who realizes that God is necessary to their lives. Bethany Hamilton is one of those people. When she was only 13, the young surfer was attacked by a shark and lost her arm. Being a strong Christian and having guidance from her parents and friends, she used this experience as a chance to help others. She inspired many people to pursue their dreams, even though it would be tough. She also went to Thailand after a tsunami on a mission trip and helped the people of Thailand not be afraid of the water. She is blessed because she still had faith, even though she experienced something very traumatic. She was open-minded about it and used her disability to help others, all under the influence of Jesus. The fourth beatitude means that when a person hungers and thirsts for righteousness, they yearn for God and His righteousness, everything that is right and good, because in order to do Christ's works, they need righteousness. Akiana Kramaric is exactly this. When she was little, God came to her in dreams and visions, and gave her the amazing ability to draw and paint better than professionals. And God gave it to her when she was little, around 4 years old. She's used this ability to transform people's lives through Christ, including her own, as her family were not Christians. She wanted God's righteousness to transform other lives with His love and grace, and she got it. Akiana is blessed because she used the ability to draw and paint and do good works that God gave her and still seeks for the righteousness that God has. Beatitudes 5 through 8 make a little more sense. In Beatitude number 5, to be merciful is to show compassion to anyone in any circumstance, no matter what the cost, money, dignity, or even life. Rachel Wheeler, an 11-year-old girl, has used her merciful heart to help others in need. When she saw pictures of malnourished and hungry children, it broke her heart, and she decided to do something about it. Starting small with bake sales, car washes, and letters to important people, she raised awareness of the poverty in other countries. When she got answers to her letters, checks, and tallied up the bake sale and car wash profits, she'd raised $100,000 to build a village in Haiti. After the village was built, she went to visit it, and the Haitians called it Rachel's Village. While she was there, she saw that the children were in need of a school, and so her next project is raising $150,000 to build it, and she's pretty close. Rachel is blessed because she felt compassionate towards the poor children and families in Haiti, and did everything she could for them, no matter what the cost. The pure of heart Jesus talks about in the 6th Beatitude are people who are free from sinful natures and desires. God has cleansed their hearts and has made them like children. Rebecca St. James is the perfect example of the pure of heart. At age 16, she was the spokesperson for the True Love Waits organization, an organization that encourages teens to save the marital act for marriage. She wore a promise ring on her right hand that promised that she would stay pure until marriage. She is a renowned songwriter and kept her chastity until her marriage, and many fans say that her music is very uplifting and inspiring. She says that your teenage years are great years, so use them wisely, and that it shouldn't be assumed that teens can't control themselves. She is blessed because she remained pure through Jesus and helped others stay pure too. In the 7th Beatitude, Jesus mentions the peacemakers, who establish peace with everyone, without force, but through the love of our Lord Jesus Christ. To create peace, they must love first, and in this way they are fulfilling one of God's most important rules for our lives. Joan of Arc was one of those people. When she was just a teenager, this brave young woman went into battle to lead France to victory. She was determined to make peace with the English and save France. Even though she did bring France to victory, the English ambushed her and captured her. They put her in prison and sentenced her to be burned at the stake. Even as she was being burned, her love for her enemies brought many people to peace, and God's love for the people was shown through her. Joan of Arc was blessed because she loved, and when she loved, it brought peace to 2 nations. Those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake in the 8th Beatitude are the last ones. Anyone who is verbally, mentally, or physically abused for believing in Jesus or defending the faith are those who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness. St. Perpetua is one of them. At the age of 26, the young mother was asked if she was a Christian, and she said yes. Because of this, the Roman government sentenced her, her maid, and a few other Christians to death by gladiators and ferocious beasts. The other Christians died very quickly at the claws of wild cats, and the young maid and Perpetua were thrown around by a bull, but were not killed. Not much later, the maid was killed by a gladiator, and Perpetua was stabbed 6 times weakly by a young and experienced fighter before she led his sword to her throat, and he killed her. She was blessed because she endured much torture and physical and mental abuse due to being a Christian, and she forgave her torturers and didn't hate them. Well, there you have it. These 8 girls made a big difference in a lot of people's lives by illustrating Jesus' Beatitudes. There is something else that a lot of people forget about the 11th and 12th verses in Matthew 5, though. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. By following these verses in particular, you can make a difference anywhere, at school, or at work, or at home. So, now it's time to get out there and make a difference in the lives of people around you today.
I thought I'd win them all with words. I say a smooth little rhyme to win the room every time, and they be moved by what they heard. My tongue is empty as my heart. It's not enough to play the part. Oh Jesus, give me more.